Great. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. This is the August 4th triage meeting for the Kubernetes 6 Karpenter repo. We're just going to be going through some issues, looking to see what needs triage, whether or not there are any burning bugs that need to be quickly addressed, and otherwise attempting to figure out priority for these.
Hey, is there any specific order that you go with these issues? I wanted to discuss one issue. So, I don't know, I'm probably attending this for the second time, but so I'm not completely sure what's the order that is followed.
Sure. I mean, it looks like we typically go from oldest to newest, but if you are here for a specific issue, it looks like the only other attendees are myself and Sarav, and we work together, so we can prioritize that, and then you can drop off if you so wish.
Oh yeah, that'll be really helpful. So let me just share the issue number. It's 2389,
Okay.
2389, not the 9889. Was it close? I can put the link in the Zoom chat as well. Yeah, it's the one. So yeah, like I know that the last comment on this issue was about sharing the logs for these. Uh, wait, is it? Okay. Okay, my bad. Sorry. I think there were two issues that I created. This one is okay. Maybe the 2389 can wait. It's actually 2388. My bad. Can you just go one issue behind? I'll probably talk about this too if we have time. But then, yeah, first this issue. This is probably has become a much more bigger concern for us. So uh, I'll just give a bit of context. We have been rolling out Karpenter on our pre-prod clusters, which is around 100 to 150 clusters so far. And one thing which we have definitely seen is like highly increased node churns, because of which, uh, like earlier with cluster autoscaler and some of our node lifecycle controllers, we would see there would be like hardly like uh, 200, 300 node disruptions per day, versus now it is like easily some in the order of like 5,000, 6,000 node disruptions per day. So, and many times we have seen that the same instance is getting replaced again and again. Like if you see in that particular EKS node viewer screenshot over there, if you see there, like one of the instance that is being taken on is the MX 8X large, and then again a new MX 8X large is being provisioned. And I have verified this multiple times. This is not because of the TTL, like the age of the node or drift. That is not the reason. It is actually just purely because of the, like I think Karpenter identifying this node is consolidatable and it takes it down. And that's something which we have been seeing quite frequently, this particular issue. And yeah, this is the node pool sample that I have just included in the issue as well. So yeah, like if you see, those are the instances that are set up, expire after is 600
Yeah, the
hours.
expire after here looks like 600 hours.
Yeah. So roughly on 25 days. That's a policy for us to rotate our nodes. So we don't like, yeah, we want to rotate our nodes every 25 days. So we don't mind a node running into 25 days. That's fine. And the disruption budgets is like, if I can summarize it quickly, it's like maximum
What?
takedown only 5% of the nodes. And then the consolidate after is like set to like every 10 minutes. And yeah, just the underutilized number of
Yeah.
uh,
So one
anything,
thing,
do you
one
see
thing,
anything off over here?
well, one thing here. So if I'm reading this correctly, this looks like with the way these budgets work is that the most restrictive budget's going to apply.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though you have 100% of your empty nodes, you're still going to be constrained by your 5 nodes here.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. Yes.
Okay.
Like, yeah, that's expected. We're okay with that. But the only thing is just seeing like the disruptions happening far too frequently. So yeah, this is The one which there's this talk about the number of disruptions on a daily basis. Yeah, like if you see I wanted to just point out at the peak. If you saw on Tuesday over there, right? There are like around 6,000 disruptions. So this is the internal query that we use on Splunk to just like
I've
see that how many
measured.
disruptions, yeah, how many evictions which are caused by Karpenter
Okay, so
as a
not
component, right?
necessarily nodes that are being terminated, but evictions.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
this is
These
like
are
more representative of pod movement, not
pod
necessarily.
evictions. Correct. That's
Okay.
right. That's right. I can like share actually. I think it would be more appropriate to share the node disruptions. Let me try to do that. I'll add that in this issue. But what I just wanted to suggest is there has been like increased disruptions even at the node level, right? So the pod evictions that you see, those are mostly because of the node disruption, right? But
Right.
my bad. Like I think I should include the node one over there to make it more clear. I'll update that.
Yeah, I think in order for us to continue
Yes, yes.
troubleshooting, we would need to know uh, metrics around node claim disruptions. So for what reasons
Hmm.
are we just seeing the disruption? If it's, I mean, if there's an increase in pod evictions, I'm not sure if that's because maybe your workload was stable. I know you said that it's not because of the
Yeah.
expiration, but if we get the node claim disruption metrics, we will be able to pretty quickly confirm that. And
So when
then
you say the node claim disruption metrics, it would be I saw in the docs some of the disruptions that were sorry, the metrics that were included. Are you talking about those?
yeah, so there's these here.
Hmm.
There's these. So voluntary
Got
disruption.
it.
So this would have the voluntary disruptions. So this would let us know what was contributing.
So would this also include the disruption reasons? Like, is it for consolidation or is it for drift, anything like that? Or is it what are we trying to get out of these metrics?
It would tell us the consolidation type.
Oh,
So
okay, that's
whether or
okay,
not it's
consolidation type.
underutilized, empty, single node, multi-node, drift. Because it could be drift. It could be that there's a node pool or a node class that what's happening is there could have been like, do you pin your AMIs or do you pull for latest for your node
No,
class?
we always spin it. We always spin it.
Yeah.
So we have custom AMIs as well. So we
Okay.
don't use the actually AWS AMIs.
Yeah, so it could be that there could have been some drift, but these metrics will help us confirm. Also,
Got
if there
it.
were logs from around this time where we can look and see what the disruption logs were, I think for some of that, it would be most informative to have debug logging enabled. Um,
Yeah, and that's my next question. Like the level logging didn't seem very helpful.
uh,
Debugging seemed like, yeah, I think I can just enable it for a brief period of time because it OOMs are indexed at Splunk. So I'll try to do that. Like I'll try to see the issue. It might have to be with like totally different set of disruption numbers that I show here,
yeah,
but I'll update those in the comment. Yeah,
yeah, I think that first step is like some more of those observability parts, and then the next would be even if it's not this exact same churn, if there's a way either from like node pool or some sort of like application pods that you're able to recreate some sort of situation where you see this churn, that would be helpful too.
okay. So takeaway from this one is to get the node claim metrics and also the Carpenter logs around the same time, right?
Yeah, and then if at all possible, ways to deterministically reproduce this churn.
Oh yeah, like it's happening quite frequently. It's happening even right
Yeah.
now. I just checked in our clusters. So reproducing is definitely not been an issue. It's
Okay.
happening quite consistently. So
And you're on Carpenter 111.
yeah, has there been any significant improvement after that? Because we kind of stopped after that because there was a issue with in Golang upstream changes which was done, and we use SC in fourth mode because of which one of the port was exposed, and we had some issues. That's why we couldn't go to the higher versions of Carpenter or the recent versions of Carpenter.
Yeah, there have
So
been quite a few introductions and of performance improvements between this and V15.
Okay.
So, but
And
real quick, Sarah, have you had your hand raised before we get to a different topic?
Yeah, I think just wanted to confirm. I haven't looked at the node pool spec, but do you use Spot by any chance?
no, no, we don't do spot instances at all.
Okay, so at least the instances getting interrupted would probably not a cause for why you're seeing this disruption. So yeah, then I think the like everything else that we've discussed makes sense. I think it would just be nice to first see why you're getting disrupted.
Hmm. Yeah, I can try to get those metrics because we very tightly control the drifts. We have a cluster upgrade cycles. So that's why we know that when the drift is introduced at the node class level, and then when the AMI is changed, or even if you want to do some sort of post rotation. So we know that drift is definitely not the reason. And the next one is the node expiration time, and that's also pretty high, right? So it kind of rules out most of the other disruption scenarios and leads it to consolidation. But having actual data around it makes sense. So I'll try to get more data for that, like with the metrics and also the Karpenter debug logs for that.
And then are you running any kind of custom scheduling or just the kube scheduler?
Cube scheduler itself, no
Okay.
custom scheduler. Yeah.
Yeah, because what I would expect is because kube scheduler, and this is
Mm-hmm.
should have clarified this for an EKS cluster or
It's EKS cluster, yes.
okay. Yeah, because what would be happening with the consolidated after for 10 minutes, I'd be expecting if there was churn, you're getting some of these pods scheduled to your lower utilized nodes, if you're seeing that, and that would prevent those nodes from being candidates for disruption. And then
Mm-hmm.
you're getting further in the queue for nodes that are otherwise well utilized, and then maybe you're seeing some disruption there. Again,
Mm-hmm.
it would be good to see the logs and metrics to kind of help confirm this, but
Got it.
one thing that you could consider doing is expanding your consolidated after, but that may not help.
Yeah, that's actually not helpful for one specific reason, which is the consolidate after currently is at a global level, because of which like even the empty nodes tend to stay for longer, right? And some of the times we run like really large instances, and the
Mhm.
empty nodes running longer is going to attribute to the cost significantly. So if we had like finer control over the consolidate after, let's say if it was under each disruption budget, then it would have been a lot more useful for us to set a higher number, right? So that's been
Yeah,
the reason why we can't go to a higher number of consolidate after.
this might be a larger ask, but do you mind actually filing an issue about consolidated after by reason? I don't think it would be necessarily taken up, but I think it's interesting, and I would like to see
Sure, yeah,
how
I
many
can do
other
that.
users are maybe falling into this same issue, because I don't know. It would be good to hear some of the use cases for consolidated after for nodes for which there are no pods.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah, empty nodes, like there's no reason for them to hang around for long because we can take them down. But the underutilized nodes, it's just that Uh, okay, I just want to briefly tell about something else that we have tried internally, which is working for us. I had forked Carpenter repo and then made changes to consider the node utilization threshold. Like any nodes which has more than 75% fully packed, just don't touch those nodes. So because of which our system is a lot more stable now. But yeah, just maintaining that fork internally and trying to sync all the changes, newer changes, that's quite a big headache. Want to avoid that and just start using the upstream images as well. Uh, but yeah, like I'm just curious to know that why the node utilization was never considered in the initial design of Carpenter. Because right now it looks like I was seeing the Carpenter code at various levels. It is decided that what when a node is considered as consolidatable, based on the ages, based on the last pod activity, and number of pods which are running. Because number of pods is a little tricky, right? Sometimes like you are running like lot more pods when they're smaller number, but when you are actually running like really large number of pods as well, which are like quite few in number, right? Which is the case for us. We run like large number of pods. Uh, so I'm just curious to know that why the node utilization was never really considered in the initial design of Carpenter.
I'd say it's probably mostly because of not considering, like rather than considering utilization was considering cost. if there was a way for cost to be
Mm-hmm.
down for cheaper nodes, and there's a way for Carpenter to make a decision about that and say there's a, even if it's minor, but some improvement, that Carpenter's always trying to pack into the most affordable data plane available, as opposed to keeping pods
Okay.
or keeping nodes around.
Okay. So this is mainly to choose just the cost as a basis rather than the utilization. So that's why
Correct.
this decision is made. Okay.
Yeah, because like utilization too, I think you also get into more of like a homogeneous data plane potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have the same instance type, it's roughly easy to reason about. Like, oh, these two nodes are 50%, let's combine them into one. Whereas because of the data plane being multiple different instance sizing and families and types, etc., if there's just a better cost fit, Carpenter will proceed with the consolidation. There has been an idea thrown around in the past of introducing something like a cost improvement threshold, where
Mm-hmm.
don't proceed unless you
Yeah,
some
that's what we're seeing. Like it's like that's true. Carpenter has been mostly aggressively optimizing for the cost,
yeah.
but at at an expense of stability for us, right? So that's where we are like kind of holding it off to move to prod. Otherwise, we are pretty good on every aspect. Like we had done some bunch of internal improvements, and it was working out well for us. It's just that we are like a little edgy about these node having very frequent node disruptions, and some of these services, if they're not able to manage these resiliency well, where they can't handle so many disruptions, they will start seeing outage. So that's something which we're just hoping to improve before we move to prod.
Are you able to partition out those sensitive workloads into another node pool that maybe is a longer consolidated after?
Uh,
The only
we
problem is like you're not,
uh,
it's easier to reason about if your node pools are not overlapping. And if
yeah.
you have overlapping requirements, then
So the thing is, we run like a very highly multi-tenant node pools, like where we have like around 300 services running. So this particular node pool, when I captured all this information, it was running around like 4,000 to 5,000 pods,
Mhm.
right? So that's how it was with the previous setup. Now, like kind of carving out different node pools for it will be a little tricky. But having said that, like I also did some experiments where I pushed up the considered after to almost like 120 minutes, but
Mhm.
the number of node disruptions were even like still equally higher. Not as high as the 10-minute one for sure, but definitely it was high, like as opposed to previous setup. Earlier, a cluster autoscaler was set up to like 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes, the consolidation window, or like I don't know what the name was called as, but yeah, similar to the consolidation, right? The nodes can be disrupted. That window was for cluster autoscaler was set to 10 minutes, and it worked out well for us. But now in this case, like it's been far too frequent disruptions.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, having said that, like 1 hour or to almost 120 minutes, that also didn't help. So that's why we didn't proceed with increasing the threshold. Increasing the consolidated after. We thought about it, but then it didn't give any very good results for the 120 minutes, we decided against it.
Yeah, I think it really, like in practice, it just kind of um, increases the window without changing some of the churn, right? So,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, if we could get those logs and the metrics, that'd be a great next
Sure.
step.
Yeah. I'll do that. I'll capture like these mainly 3 points. One was the node claim metrics, the next is the debug logs, and finally create a show for the consolidate after. So
Cool. Thank you.
yeah, thanks a lot for that. I'll bring this up in the next one.
Sounds good. Okay. Moving on, we can go back. Let's look at what needs triage, and then we can start making decisions. So support cascading delete when removing Karpenter from a cluster. This kind of just needs. Just triage accepted. The Kate's bot's removing stuff these days. So
Hey Reed,
Mhm.
before you like quickly go through these in this order, can you actually the one on the top like fallback to lower weight node pool and negative values? Um, since I don't have the permissions to edit the labels, I kept it as needs triage, but I've already looked at these issues, so it's more like needs information at this point, and we can
So this one needs information.
yeah. And then the other one, negative values on Karpenter pod startup duration. I think that is like triage accepted, and I'm already working on a fix.
You need me to do a review of this yet?
Yeah, I mean, Jason, I had already asked Jason to take a look. I don't think he has gotten a chance, but yeah.
Cool. I'll leave it open and take a look.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's. Yeah. So this is triage accepted. Great.
I think, yeah, those were the only two. And I think the rest you can keep going in the order that you were.
Okay. Node repair graduate. Well, actually, I just want to kind of flip through these because we do this less frequently and just see if there's anything burning or anything that sounds not good. Okay. I don't really see anything that looks burning, so we can just go in the order of oldest to newest.
Mhm.
Provider ID not set. Seen an issue in AWS cluster, not EKS with Carpenter deployed, where nodes created by Carpenter do not get the provider set ever by AWS CCM. The cluster is being created with ASG, and when trying similar action on ASG created nodes, the nodes join the cluster without issue and get the provider set by CCM. But here's the error from CCM. So when setting provider ID. Oh, yeah. So this was means
Have you not asked them to open this in the AWS provider repo? So I think we can close this one, right?
yeah. The triage closed.
I'm not sure what the label is.
That's fun. Okay. Well, support pods owned by custom daemon set like controllers when making scaling decisions. Karpenter treats daemon set pods differently from other types of pods. I would like to add support for scenarios where a pod is not owned by a daemon set controller, but should be treated as if it was. There are two scenarios where it's useful. Daemon set pod scheduled by vCluster, which is a K8s distro that uses a K8s cluster for infra, will not have daemon set in the owner reference, and custom controller that behaves similar to a daemon set controller. Okay. It looks like it's still triage needs information to me. Like there's one example here, but this isn't the initial
Yeah.
request or the issue. I will ping. That's good. And the two parts of the problem pointed out by JMDL. Cool. We're rendering evaluated budget and node pull status. So this is the seen a lot of questions around disruption budgets because it's quite complicated and confusing to understand. I wonder if it's worth generating as part of the node pull status or logs, but only one time the fully rendered budget, including all implicit budgets and time intervals when each budget applies. This would help users at a glance understand what is the budget they created to help them and us easily diagnose budget issues.
I think it's a duplicate.
Yeah, this is a duplicate. Let's track this in 2017 and feel free to add updates to the mega issue 2387. Cool. I'll double check to see if there's another label we can add other than just these needs triage, because some of these they're not solved, but they're not needs information.
Yeah.
Okay, dry run mode, toggle on off, contributing to high number of API calls. So Karpenter runs a dry run call to validate as the necessary permissions to execute the task at hand. It triggers an event, and the event frequency is very high in densely populated EKS clusters, resulting in saturation. We need to know as we're hitting hard API limits from a cloud provider for a call that is not needed and contributing to AI timeouts, API timeouts. So this is just like whether or not to be able to enable.
But I guess we have had the opinion that we don't really wanna make it like,
Configurable.
yeah. I think it's important to understand like what are they saying? How is this causing them a problem exactly? What do they mean by causing saturation exactly?
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's in densely populated. Because I'm wondering if this just means that they have many.
Well, the question is also that what version of Karpenter they're on, because we did make an update in, I don't recall right now which version, but we made an update so that this doesn't happen too often.
And let's see, this is the neutral. Do you have a high number of node class? Also, is this, hold on. Yeah, is this not in the wrong the wrong repo? Okay. Cool. Confusing disruption budgets for maintenance windows. How do I create a budget with the following? Disallow, underutilize, allow disruption for drifted for 10 minutes every day at 10 until 10:10, allow empty disruption at any time. Want to allow disruption during a specific maintenance window only. Not part of covered team, something like this. Can we have a way to define a maintenance window during which nodes can be replaced rather than also having to define the opposite window where they can't? But if the window is weekdays only, it gets lots of duplication. I want a weekday maintenance. Okay, looks like Sarah moved it to the mega issue, so we can go to the mega issue, kind of just see. Let's say please feel free to add to the mega issue for disruption budget enhancements. Allow ignoring node claim to node pod count mismatch. Don't know what this is. We set up nodes pod capacity according to max pods calculator, which is lower than what Karpenter calculates. So we get constant logs and events telling us that expected 205 research pods, but found 110. We would like applied to ignore this check to silence this issue. So this is over in the AWS provider.
But again, like, how is this like a problem? Is it just the logs and events that are the problem here?
Make sure they don't have other, no, they don't have other stuff. Okay. All the questions. Is the main issue that the log is spammy or are nodes not coming up as expected? Coming up with the expected resources. Cool. Odds drain total metric has a blank reason when EC2 spot interruption occurs. We've got logs. I think triage needs investigation. Seems like it's possible. Also, spot interruption. So this would also be in the AWS provider.
Well, but the metric, I
The
think,
metric's
is
here.
in.
Okay, yeah. Those are just triage, so needs investigation.
Yeah.
Max node claims cap. As a service provider, I want to enforce maximum number of nodes in my offered managed cluster so I can guarantee my SLAs. This includes nodes managed by Karpenter, so I would like to have the ability for Karpenter to short circuit when a given number of node claims have been met. Some not necessarily exclusive options to express intent for this might be a flag, a global API knob, a node pull API knob. So this is along the same lines as we were discussing at the working group meeting last week. From the meeting, it sounded like the use cases we talked about are well received, and we should have some method for loading Karpenter due to the way this would work internally. It may be complex to introduce this, but there was also the thought that node might be able to be used as a resource type in the node pool. Resource limits needs further investigation. There's some further follow-up investigation to do and report back to the working group. And here, this issue is also related to this. File. Thanks for opening the issue. It sounds like there is a desire for these limits, for additional limits to apply. Like node count to be considered. Stump. Thanks for opening the issue. We'd welcome an RFC to discuss limits. I'd also look at some work in doesn't Samuga have a PR?
Mm.
Not quite the same thing though. Not sure if it needs an RFC, but it could be easier to discuss changes to limits. That or it seems like a more natural place to discuss this than a PR. I guess it'd be like triage accepted, yeah.
Yeah.
PDBs not respected when node pool and node class are deleted. Nodes get instantly tainted after node pool and EC2 node class are deleted, and only after this new nodes are spawned to match demand. New nodes are spawned to match the demands, and only then are the old ones tainted.
Quick question. Are these the one that are needs triage? No, right?
Triage solved. No.
Yeah, maybe the
You're supposed to be
label was.
you're supposed to be you're right. Confusing, disruption budget.
I think you've done
Yeah,
that.
allow, ignoring, no claim, done. This is triage accepted for sure. This is the mega issue
Mhm.
for disruption budgets. Rename underutilized. Doubt we'll be able to change that. Needs investigation. Look to see what the API impact would be. To find a way to treat the deployment pods as daemon set, I think we just yeah.
Yeah, just a duplicate.
Consolidate support for Oracle provider flex instance type. What problem are you trying to solve? We have an OCI provider implementation, a Karpenter for Oracle Cloud. There is the flex instance type. One type may have different CPU and memory sizes, and the price of the instance is calculated by CPU cores. Currently, when Karpenter consolidates, it will treat the same instance type as the same price, which may lead the consolidation to be unstable in Karpenter OCI. Currently, consolidate does not work for us. Changing the instance type name may take more effort and it may cause a breaking change. We can help create a PR to fix this and make sure it's compatible with other cloud providers. The way to change node pool to instance types map and build node pool map to a map to an instance type and filter the compatible instance types in the new candidate func. Just checking if I understand. For a given node pool, you can return multiple instance types with the same name but different underlying capacity. What's preventing you from maintaining that variant by, for example, appending the capacity as part of the instance type name? So the issue is that the existing instance type label already uses the instance shape. I assume this is being set by OCI CCM implementation, not just your Karpenter provider. That would be a bit problematic today since we assume throughout the code base that the label is a unique identifier. Ideally, we would be able to ensure that this is a unique identifier. If it's common enough, maybe we would need to think of another form. Set by OCI CCM, check the node created by. I suggest we don't use the common label. We can use this label no claim. I've tested it and it worked because the common label will be enforced. Okay. I think triage needs investigation. It's appropriate.
Mhm.
Interested in using the node repair, node auto repair feature of Karpenter. However, it's currently documented as an alpha feature. I typically avoid relying on alpha or beta features in production deployments. Is there a path for graduating this feature to GA stable? Yeah, I think also.
Yeah.
Last but not least, support voluntary disruption for reserved capacity node pools without overscaling. So for
It's
reserved
possibly,
capacity node pool, you're full and then you drift and then you try to pull up a new node, which falls back to OD.
I think so. That's the issue here because it'll like, yeah, since we launch a replacement first,
Right.
that can cause overscaling in the reserved capacity.
So you need to like terminate before launch for an ODCR and then mark pods as having been scheduled to capacity. And like, I think that's not to dive way too into the implementation too soon, but or the other way you would do it is restricting your node pool such that you scale down and then you couldn't scale and then you make the change and then you're able to do drift. Okay, so that's just like this needs investigation.
Yeah.
Thought. Okay. Well, now that we have triaged things, anything that's left open here was because we see that it's a duplicate or we're still waiting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go back, unless there's anyone else on the call. I don't think so. But
No.
all I'm gonna do from here on is I'm gonna go in and see if there's a better way to classify some of these open issues. And then that would cover this triage meeting.
Yep. Sounds good.
So thanks, everyone.
Thank you.